Okay, let's offer some prayers before we begin this new series of readings on the prayers of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishtaye Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vachaline Nivasesha Shunyavadi Pushtatara Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So yes, we're on an adventure and we're going to be reading the prayers, as we just mentioned, from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, I have one list which Mother Chandravali managed to find, and I was just looking through this list, and it's not a complete list which I have, so I was just looking myself, and I found some more prayers which are not included in this list. So this list, for now, I shall just read it. We're going to begin with, of course, we have to begin with Srila Vyasadev's opening prayer in the Srimad Bhagavatam 111. All right. So we're getting to that today, including the purport. So quite philosophical, but it's a good place to start on philosophy. And then we have the prayers to Arjuna, prayers by Arjuna, first canto. Then we have the prayers by Queen Kunti, first canto. Then we have prayers by Grandfather Bhishma. Then the ladies of Hastinapura. Then prayers with the introducing Sukadeva Goswami, second canto, chapter 4. Then prayers by Kadama Muni, going into the second. Also, Narada Muni, Kadama Muni, excuse me, third canto. Prayers by Devahuti, third canto. Also in the third canto, missed here is very important prayers, is the Lord Brahma's prayers for creative energy. That's in the third canto also. All right, then we have the prayers by Devahuti, and then we go to the fourth canto, prayers by Dhruva. Then we got the prayers by Maharaj Prithu, prayers by Vritrashura, prayers by King Chitraketu, Prahlad, seventh, then prayers of Gajendra. And also in the fourth, going back, the fourth canto, we have chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva. The prayers there, wonderful prayers. The prayers of Gajendra, Satyavrata, prayers by the demigod. Now, then we're into the 10th canto, the demigods, Nalakovera, Brahma. There's other prayers of Brahma that we just mentioned, wives of Kaliya, Indra, Gopis, Akura, Uttrakunda, Rudra, Lord Shiva, and the prayers by the personified Vedas. And there's also some prayers in the 11th and 12th canto, which is not included. Okay, so if anyone, there's only a couple of us here, but if anyone's listening to this recording, if you know of some prayers we missed, then please let me know, huh? Because sometimes the
prayers by Brahma, when he found himself sitting on a lotus and it was completely dark.
Yeah, that's what I just mentioned. That's what's not in this list, but I found I remembered it myself. That's called Lord Brahma's prayers for creative energy.
Yes,
that's one of my favorite set of prayers, actually. And that's in the third canto. Okay. All right. So without further ado, as they say, let's begin. I've got Bhagavatam here. So a famous word, I share my screen. Hare Krishna, if I can find where is the button? Why is my Zoom not coming up? Okay, here it is. Share Share. Share. Okay, Mother Mongo, Prue, you have your hand up. We lost Mother Gayatri. Oh, that's because she's waiting with everyone else. Hare Krishna.
Let Mother Lavanga in. She's in the waiting room. Gayatri Mother, she's texting me.
Done.
She's here.
Yeah. So just missed that little introduction. Devotees have just joined. We just went through the prayers we're excitingly going to be covering in the Srimad Bhagavatam. I won't go through it again. You'll have to listen to the recording. But there's prayers in each canto. I think the only canto which so far I haven't come across prayers is the 9th canto. Okay. But sometimes the prayers are kind of not in the title of the chapter, and then there's prayers that come. So if any of you, any devotees, you know of any prayers as we're going through each canto, then please you could let us know. Yeah. And then we can include those as well. All right. So without further ado, we're, as I said the second time, we're coming in 111, Srimad Bhagavatam, 111. The prayers by a prayer by Srila Vasudeva. Actually, the first 3 slokas are prayers, and it's quite. The purport is quite extensive, as you might imagine. Okay, then, so let's see how we go. Oh God, Mother Margot, it looks like you're a bit busy. Are you okay to read? It looks like you're steering a boat there.
Yeah. I'm ready to read. I'm making some cheese for Giriraj, but I can read also if there is signal.
Okay. So
yeah.
Okay, you ready? This is quite philosophical purport.
So Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah.
111.
So it's Om 111. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadi Asya Yato Vayad Ittaratas Charte Abhijnaha Svarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adhikaye Muhyanti Yatsuryaha.
Go on, boys. Let's read it together.
Tejo Varim Ritam
Yata Vinimayo Yatra Tushagora Mishra Tamnana Swena Sada Narastakohukam Satyam Param Dhimahi.
I was lost.
So Dhimahi, the word means I meditate upon. Those who chant the Gayatri mantra, then we have this. This is the Gayatri hidden in the first verse of the Bhagavatam. So therefore, an extensive understanding is that the Bhagavatam is a commentary on the Gayatri mantra. Okay, because and here's Dhimahi. Okay, so I've shared the screen. You can read the verse.
Yeah, I'm done here and that's translation. O my Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances into you. I Śrī Kṛṣṇa because he is absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestation, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge into the heart of Brahmājī, the original living being. By his even the greatest sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire, or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the 3 modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, who is eternal, existent, exists in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representation of material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Just
Hare
thinking,
Krishna.
so yeah, prayers, you know, it's one of the 9 angas of pure devotional service, you know, Svavanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Parasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atman, Nidanam. Yeah, so it's a very important principle of our devotional practice. Of course, the Maha Mantra is the ultimate prayer. And it's good to be reminded that we are praying for something when we're chanting the Maha Mantra. We're praying to be engaged in the Lord's pure devotional service. But this is the way one approaches the Lord. One offers prayers generally in glorification, and then one might supplement some desires. Of course, we're on the path, hopefully we're on the path of pure devotion. So we want to learn how to pray like the residents of the spiritual world pray. Yeah. And here, this is Srila Vyasadeva. He's offering this wonderful prayer right at the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And it sets the scene very nicely. And it's quite philosophical. So how should we go about this? Perhaps we'll read each paragraph. We'll get different devotees to read a paragraph, and then we can stop and discuss if there's any questions. Is that okay with everyone to go like that?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so there's a few devotees coming in now.
I was wondering, are we
Go on,
going to
yeah.
do all the Lalsamai Prarthana and Dainya Bhava Prarthana together, or are we going to concentrate on Dainya first and then Lalsamai?
Dainya mean, wow, sounds like
Humble or?
humility. Yeah. And then what's the other word you use? That means to
Lalsamai is when people are in a Raga Anuraga Bhakti.
yeah, that's when they're hankering for perfectional stages, like in the prayers of Nortam Das Thakur.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
That might be, sorry?
So which ones are we supposed to? I mean, I know that we have to go on the Dainya one, humility prayers. But how do we sort out like this one we're looking? Is it in a humility or is it in the Lal Samai? How do we find that out?
Well,
Because we could be reciting the wrong prayers.
do you mean personally as a aspect of a sadhana?
Yes.
Yeah, well, Lala Ashmayi, these are prayers that come perhaps later in our spiritual development. You know, they're at the stage of spontaneous devotion, where at the stage of perhaps at the stages of the beginning stages of bhava, then one is praying for a perfectional stage. Yeah, but it's good to hear them and get a general idea that we should pray to be engaged in the Lord's service. It may not be very specific for us. Like Nortam Das Thakur is praying specifically. Yeah, as far as I can to fan the Lord, to offer tambula, etc. But for us, this is a general, you know, the general look at all the prayers in my Bhagavatam. So this is just out of respect for the Bhagavatam. This is a nice verse to try to memorize out of a prayer to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, I memorized this one of the first long verses that I memorized like many years ago, and it was it's a wonderful verse to memorize and to recall. So then, to answer your question, Rajmava Rajkishore, we're doing. Is that okay?
This prayer is in a mode of humility, so we can recite it every day. Can we?
Okay, yeah. So you just made it very simple. Yeah, this is a prayer of humility and glorification of the Lord. Yeah. So understanding the glories of Krishna, then that should automatically and spontaneously create some humility within us. Yeah? When we hear how great Krishna is. So Vyasadeva is praying and also praying, asking for blessings as well. To invoke the Lord's blessings. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, Hare Krishna. Yeah, you said those words, Lala Ashramayi, and that's very, it's in relation to Raganuga devotion. Okay, come someone else. Amoga Lila. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Amoga Lila, Prabhu. Hari Hari. Okay, so let's read the first paragraph. Anyone else like to read the first paragraph?
Yeah, I can read the first paragraph.
I'll keep scrolling up and down. I hope I'm not making you seasick. I'll try and keep still. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Obeisances.
Obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, directly indicate Lord Krishna, who is the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. This fact will be more explicitly explained in the text of this work. Śrī Vasudeva asserts herein that Śrī Kṛṣṇa is the original personality of Godhead, and all others are his direct or indirect plenary portions or portions of the portion. Srila Jiva Goswami has even more explicitly explained the subject matter in his Krishna Sandarbha, and Brahma, the original living being, has explained the subject of Śrī Kṛṣṇa substantially in his treatise named Brahma Samhita. In an Upanishad in the Samaveda, it is also stated that Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa is the divine son of Devaki. Therefore, in this prayer, the first proposition holds that Lord Krishna is the primeval Lord, and if any transcendental nomenclature is to be understood as belonging to the absolute personality of Godhead, it must be the name indicated by the word Krishna, which means the all-attractive. In Bhagavad Gita, in many places, the Lord asserts himself to be the original personality of Godhead, and this is confirmed by Arjuna and also by great sages like Narada, Vyasa, and many others. In the Padma Purana, it is also stated that out of the innumerable names of the Lord, the name of Krishna is the principal one. Vasudeva indicates the plenary portion of the personality of Godhead, and all the different forms of the Lord being identical with Vasudeva are indicated in this text. The name Vasudeva particularly indicates the divine son of Vasudeva and Devaki. Śrī Kṛṣṇa is always meditated upon by the Paramahamsas, who are the perfected ones among those in the renounced order of life.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So for us, it seems, in one sense, quite obviously clear. But here, what's being presented right from the very first verse is what is sometimes not obviously clear if you read the Vedas. And it wasn't made specifically, so it wasn't made specifically, explicitly stated in all of Srila Vyasadeva's writings of the Vedas and the Mahabharata. And that history, that is explained in the, I think is explained in the first canto, Narada Muni's teaching to Vyasadeva. And we know the story where Srila Vyasadeva was feeling somewhat undone, as if something wasn't right. This was after a lifetime, practically, a lifetime of writing Veda with his disciples, writing the Mahabharata. And as you know, he felt he had an inclination that something wasn't right. And he himself concluded, perhaps it's because I haven't spotlessly glorified Krishna. And then Narada Muni came, and he confirmed the same. And so this is what makes Srimad Bhagavatam quite unique. So it is Srila Vyasadev's mature realization. And that's described as well in the first canto, where he went into a trance of bhakti yoga manasi, a trance of pure devotion. Yeah, inspired by Narada Muni. Said he should go into deep meditation or Shramahadi. And there he envisioned Krishna, the illusory energy, etc. And then he began his task of writing Srimad Bhagavatam or revealing Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, it was revealed through him. So that's why this first paragraph and this verse is quite substantial, because the first utterance of the Srimad Bhagavatam makes it very clear. There's nothing going to be indirect about this book. It's going to be directly about Krishna. You can't miss Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam. You can miss Krishna if you read the Mahabharata. Yeah, Krishna's mentioned, but here and there. He's not mentioned everywhere. In the Bhagavatam, Krishna's mentioned everywhere. That's what makes it so dear to the Vaishnavas. Yep. And that's why Prabhupada translated it. So here, this one of the reasons. And so this first paragraph is establishing this. Yeah, it's all about Krishna. And from him, everything is coming. All right. So this is the prayer that Srila Vyasadeva is offering. Any questions here about this first paragraph? Yeah, Krishna's the primeval Lord. Any transcendental nomenclature. Anyone knows what nomenclature means? It means nomenclature.
I think it just means a name for something.
Yeah,
something that's ascribed a name.
Yeah, it's an old word that's used generally in the beginning of the 19th century. Bhaktisiddhanta.
Music.
Sorry?
When you write music, it's a nomenclature.
No. It's it means name, just as Mother Lavanga said. Yeah. It's devising or choosing names for things. Yeah. So if any name can be used, it's described here. It said that Lord Krishna is the divine son of Devaki. Therefore, in this prayer, the first proposition holds that Lord Krishna is the primeval Lord. Yeah, and if any name is to be understood, nomenclature belonging to the absolute personality of Godhead, it must be the name indicated by the word Krishna, which means all attractive. And then Prabhupada brings up Aham Savasha Prabhavo Namasa Sambhavatati. Yeah, 10th chapter is described Krishna as the source of all spiritual and material worlds. So here you go. If you want to know who God is, just look in the first verse. You want to know who God actually is, no problem. Just look in the first verse, first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's described very clearly. This is Srila Vyasadev's realization, and not only him, but others as well. Okay. All right. Let's any questions, comments on that? Let's have a look at the second paragraph. Someone could read this second paragraph.
I can read.
Go ahead, Mavi.
Vasudeva, or Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, is the cause of all causes. Everything that exists emanates from the Lord. How this is so is explained in later chapters of this work. This work is described by Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya, as a spotless Puran, because it contains the transcendental narration of the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. The history of the Srimad Bhagavatam is also very glorious. It was compiled by Sri Vyasadeva after he had attained maturity in transcendental knowledge. He wrote this under the instructions of Sri Naradji, his spiritual master. Vyasadeva compiled all Vedic literatures containing the 4 divisions of the Vedas, the Vedanta Sutras or the Brahma Sutras, the Puranas, the Mahabharata, and so on. But nevertheless, he was not satisfied. His dissatisfaction was observed by his spiritual master, and thus Narad advised him to write on the transcendental activities of Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa. These transcendental activities are described specifically in the 10th canto of this work. But in order to reach to the very substance, one must proceed gradually by developing knowledge of the categories. Thank you.
Okay. So I guess I got ahead of myself. In the second paragraph, Prabhupada's describing exactly what we was just bringing out. Okay. But here, Lord Krishna is the cause of all causes. So let's just have a look at the word for that. Janmadiyasayata means everything. That's the word for word. Creation's Janmadi, creation, sustenance, asya, the manifested universes. Okay. Trying to find exactly what the cause of all causes. Sarvakara Karanam. As we know, he's the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes. Just trying to find a Sanskrit for that. Anyone can see it here?
That one is Brahma Samhita, you are saying. Ishvara Param Krishna.
Yeah.
Sachidananda Vigraha.
Yeah. So the primeval Lord, Janmad Adi, the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He's directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations. Yeah. Okay, so here, Prabhupada, at least he gives in the translation, the primeval cause of all causes. Yeah. Okay. Say if someone says, someone may challenge you, okay, so everything comes from God. So, okay, so you're saying that everything has a cause. So what's the cause of God? It's a question I'm asking. How would you answer that question?
For him, time doesn't exist, so he was always there.
Sorry, you can say more?
For him, time doesn't exist. It's not a concept, so he was always there.
Yeah, you can expand on that a bit more?
Not sure I can.
Because he's transcendental, he's eternal.
He's
God
transcendental. Mother
yes.
Mongo.
He has no cause.
Yes, he has no cause.
Because he's
But how's that
transcendental.
possible? Everything has a cause.
Everything is a cause of Krishna. So there is the first cause. There has to be a first, the origin of the cause.
He's the cause of all causes. Cause of all
Yeah.
causes. He's the cause of all causes.
Yeah, basically we've all, everything you're saying is correct. It's like, but how to piece it together to explain to, especially to some persons who are kind of don't have the faith just to accept, the fact that he is the cause of all causes. So they want to argue it academically. But I normally, like Mother Gayatri, she mentioned about time. So I normally bring out that argument. Just like time brings things into manifestation. they stay for some time, and after some time they become annihilated. Yeah. And they disappear. So time is, everything and everyone is controlled by time. So that's when things come into being manifest because of time. Some other Gayatri mentioned that Krishna is beyond time. He is the creator of time. Time is one of his energies. It's something which he is not controlled by which he uses in the material world. So there is no, just like for the soul described, there's no time when Krishna says, no time when we did not exist, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. You follow so far? So we only speak about creation, or the subject of things coming into being and being born is only a subject in the material worlds. It's not the subject of conversation, I don't think, in the spiritual world. Because, as Mother Gayatri mentioned, there is no time.
Everything is happening all at once, simultaneously.
Say it
It's
again?
it's like multiverse. Everything is happening all at once, simultaneously, past, present, future. He's the knower of all and the creator of all. So there's no time. Time is only here. That's why there is causality. There is no causality there.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah, exactly. And that is the spiritual realm, which those who are in the spiritual realm look down upon us with great compassion, because we are subject to time. Okay, and another, I think that was brought out as well, is that then you have it doesn't work logically, because if something causes Krishna, then that cause must be greater than Krishna. And if that cause is caused by something, so it's called, they call it an eternal regress. That even atheists don't accept that argument of eternal regress. You know, does anyone ever do that? I remember when I was young, I used to play around with I remember where we lived, we had these mirrors which opened up, and one mirror would reflect the other one. And it would go back and back and back and back. Yeah.
Is that you look with your eye inside, yeah?
Yeah. So materially,
like a telescope,
yeah,
kaleidoscope.
yeah, that's it, something like that. But there has, so the atheist, they will say, okay, so but why do we posit God as being the cause? Why do you just go to God? Why can't it be something else? We say, well, why not go to God? What's your problem, man?
Well, you can call him whatever. It doesn't change who he is. He has many names.
Whatever nomenclature. Where's this word? We've learned a new word today. We've learned an old word, nomenclature. So Krishna, and it's mentioned many times in Gita, isn't it? He is the original seed of all existences. Okay, you have a banyan tree. Where does a banyan tree come from? It comes from a seed. Well, where does the seed come from? It comes from a tree. Okay, where does a chicken come from? It comes from an egg. That's a good one. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? You have to kind of... But the very first cause, the energy, the cause of all causes, is here. Vasudeva, not Vasudeva, but Vasudeva, or Lord Krishna, is the cause of all causes. Everything that exists emanates from him. Janmadi Ashayata. Yeah. The creation, maintenance, and destruction is all manifest from him. This whole cosmic manifestation. Okay. And that's going to be explained. Right? And then he brings up what we was bringing out this. We was already mentioned this about Srila Vyasadeva. And then we have to be educated first before we hear about Krishna. As we know, that's the presentation of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. Described here. How do you describe this? But in order to reach the very substance, which is Krishna, one must proceed gradually by developing knowledge of the categories. Okay. Anyway, we're not. We're going over the prayers of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're not actually going through the whole Bhagavatam, but this is just mentioned here in the purple. Okay. All right. So everyone's with us so far. The history of Vyasadeva is given. Krishna is the cause of all causes. He's invoked right in the very beginning by Srila Vyasadeva. And now let's go to this third paragraph. This is really nice how Prabhupada writes here. Someone would like to read this third paragraph? Anyone else?
Where does it start? It is natural?
Yes.
Okay. It is natural that a philosophical mind wants to know about the origin of the creation. At night, he sees the stars in the sky and he naturally speculates about their inhabitants. Such inquiries are natural for man because man has a developed consciousness which is higher than that of the animals. The author of Srimad Bhagavatam gives a direct answer to such inquiries. He says that the Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa is the origin of all creations. He is not only the creator of the universe, but the destroyer as well. The manifested cosmic nature is created at a certain period by the will of the Lord. It is maintained for some time and then it is annihilated by his will. Therefore, the supreme will is behind all cosmic activities. Of course, there are atheists of various categories who do not believe in a creator, but that is due to a poor fund of knowledge. The modern scientist, for example, has created space satellites, and by some arrangement or other, these satellites are thrown into outer space to fly for some time at the control of the scientist who is far away. Similarly, all the universes with innumerable stars and planets are controlled by the intelligence of the personality of Godhead.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Yeah, that's the gift of the human form of life. You can question your existence. There used to be one song, someone now I remember, still remember part of this song. What's the meaning? What's the meaning of life? Yeah. This means human form. Atato Brahma Jignasa. I think we brought that out a couple of weeks ago, isn't it? That's the Vedanta Sutra, the first aphorism. Yeah, now's in time to inquire. Yeah. The devotees used to do that when you was young with your friends? You have philosophical discussions sometimes at school. With your friends in the park.
Yeah,
Where
I
did it
used
all
to.
begin? Yeah. We used to remember laying on our back in the park and looking out up at the sky with our heads, we was kind of looking up at the sky and where does it begin? Where does it end? But what's beyond the end? What does it mean? And then as you get a bit older and one starts to get an experience of the sometimes difficulty, even at a young age, especially teenagers when they start to enter into the world and trying to find their own identity, that often questions can arise about the meaning and what's the purpose, Others not, but those are fortunate kind of ask this question. And it's natural. So Prabhupada brings that, he uses his word, it's natural. He says philosophical mind. Of course, when I was young, I used to sometimes, occasionally, we would speak on this subject. But other than that, we was just, kids being kids, teenagers being teenagers. But sometimes we get a bit philosophical. Yeah. Sometimes people get philosophical when they're drunk in the pub. Sitting at the bar, drinking away and trying to, having these philosophical arguments like that, But yeah, and that's that's what the animals, as we know, Prabhupada will point this out, that animals do not have this propensity. Yeah. Sorry, I can tell a funny story now. I just remember it. I remember one time we was on traveling Sankirtan, and we made too much halava. And so there was his dog sniffing around by the van, in this park. So, we didn't want to save the halava. We wanted to finish everything off so that we could wash the pots. So we gave the remaining halava to this dog. And this dog, as you can imagine, it quickly ate all the halava within like 2 seconds. And then the dog was sitting there like a great philosopher. He was sitting there on his, dogs, when they sit with their hind legs up. It's our speculation, but as if the dog was looking left and looking right, like a great sage.
Like the Sphinx.
Yeah, after he ate some halava, we was having a joke. Right, let's just see the potency of prasadam. Now he's thinking about the meaning of life. I don't think perhaps he was, but we was making a bit of a light-hearted thing of it. But anyway, back to this point, yeah. So, yeah, any other questions here about this? Bhagavatam gives a direct answer to such inquiries in this first prayer by Srila Vyasadeva. Yeah. So everything, the supreme will is behind the whole cosmic, everything. But it's quite mysterious in the sense that it cannot be seen unless you're a devotee, unless you have the eyes of devotion, then you cannot appreciate. What's that verse in 7th chapter Bhagavad Gita? Mata paratanam nanyat kintit asti dhananjaya mayat savam idam protom shrutugana mana eva. I am the absolute truth. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Yeah. So this whole very this whole very precise universe is held together by the unseen potency of the Supreme Lord. So this is Srila Vyasadev's mature realization. Yeah. Yeah, so Prabhupada brings out the atheist here. There are atheists of various categories, different types, who do not believe. Sorry? Who do not believe in a creator due to their poor fund of knowledge. Okay. All right. And more. Let's read the next paragraph. Perhaps I can have a read this one. In the Vedic literatures, it is said that the absolute truth, personality of Godhead, is the chief among all living personalities. All living beings from the beginning, all living beings beginning from the first created being, Brahma, down to the smallest ant are individual living beings. And above Brahma, there are even other living beings with individual capacities. And the personality of Godhead is also a similar living being. And he is an individual, as are the other living beings. But the Supreme Lord or the supreme living being has the greatest intelligence, and he possesses supermost inconceivable energies, all different varieties. If a man's brain can produce a space satellite, one can very easily imagine how brains higher than man can produce similar wonderful things which are far superior. The reasonable person will easily accept this argument, but there are stubborn atheists who would never agree. Srila Vyasadeva, however, at once accepts the supreme intelligence as Parameshvara. He offers his respectful obeisances unto the supreme intelligence, addressed as the Para, or the Parameshvara, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that Parameshvara is Śrī Kṛṣṇa, as admitted in Bhagavad Gita and other scriptures, delivered by Sri Vyasadeva, and specifically in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says there is no other Paratattva Saman Bonam than himself. Therefore, Srila Vyasadeva at once worships the Paratattva Śrī Kṛṣṇa, whose transcendental activities are described in the 10th canto. Okay. So, what would you say is an amazing phenomena which we're all very familiar with, an amazing phenomena of creation, which we're very familiar with and we live with, which we can take for granted?
Is it birth?
Birth, yeah, birth, or just the human body
Yeah.
itself. Yeah, just that fact itself, that a living being can grow inside another living being, is birth. And you can think you have the lungs, and how the lungs work in relationship to the blood, and how the blood works in relationship to the kidneys. I mean, I'm not a medical student, but I think we know all the details of the brain, the veins, the bones, and how everything is working. Well, sometimes it doesn't work. Yeah. And about how it's quite an amazing creation. Now, someone actually created that. Yeah, and that's created by Lord Brahmājī, inspired by Krishna, as far as I understand. Yeah. And it's
Krishna Prabhu.
Yes, please.
I was remembering, I think all of you that seen this video, one video, United States President Ronald Reagan was speaking in one video.
Okay. Ronald Reagan.
Yes, he's saying,
Okay.
I invited all the atheists for a gourmet who doesn't believe in God for a dinner, gourmet dinner. And after the dinner,
Gourmet dinner.
Gourmet dinner. And after that, because they don't believe in God. So after that, he's speaking in this video. After that, I asked everybody, at least, so they were really satisfied and very happy after the dinner. He went and he asked the question, at least now you all will believe that there are cooks behind this dinner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody involved making this dinner.
Yeah, that's nice. I haven't heard that one before. But we have a similar one that devotees normally tell. What's this? Anyone can tell that one? We think it's Isaac Newton.
Yeah.
Anyone know that story, which illustrates the stupidity or the completely illogical fallacy of the atheist?
Is it he made a replica of like planets and things, a model?
Yeah, he made a whole
model, yeah,
apparatus where as the earth moved, then the other spheres moved, and it's all moving like this, and it's, yeah.
And then his friend came around and he said, "Oh, that's great. Did you make it?" And he said, no, it just happened.
Yeah, it's already made.
It just appeared out of nowhere.
Yeah, or it just gradually evolved from the tea bag.
Yeah. Or, you know, there's a small explosion in the teacup,
yeah,
and
we can put more on. Yeah, great. Yeah, I was making, you know, I was in the bathroom and I made some sludge manifest from the sink, and then before I know it, it grew into But it's amazing how, because Krishna's given the intelligence to the atheist to come up with all these weird, of course, from our perspective, complete speculations. But it's so, why don't we just accept? It's so easy. Yeah, everything has a source. Everything has an original. Yeah, everything is created. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yeah, so again, yeah, that's an example. Yeah, if you think about this body in itself, how it's created by a very great intelligence, you know, and that's, yeah, so, and that's Krishna. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look at the next paragraph. Speaking about unscrupulous persons. Someone could read this one? Any readers out there?
Yep, there's no one I can read again.
Go ahead.
Unscrupulous persons go immediately to the 10th canto, and especially to the 5 chapters which describe the Lord's rasa dance. This portion of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the most confidential part of this great literature. Unless one is thoroughly accomplished in the transcendental knowledge of the Lord, one is sure to misunderstand the Lord's worshipable transcendental pastimes called rasa dance and his love affairs with the gopis. This subject matter is highly spiritual, and only the liberated persons who have gradually attained to the stage of Paramhansa can transcendentally relish this rasa dance. Srila Vyasadeva therefore gives the reader the chance to gradually develop spiritual realization before actually relishing the essence of the pastimes of the Lord. Therefore, he purposely invokes a Gayatri mantra, Dhīmahi. This Gayatri mantra is meant for spiritually advanced people. When one is successful in chanting the Gayatri mantra, he can enter into the transcendental position of the Lord. One must therefore acquire Brahmanical qualities or be perfectly situated in the quality of goodness in order to chant the Gayatri mantra successfully, and then attain to the stage of transcendentally realizing the Lord, his name, his fame, his qualities, and so on. Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So any immediate questions or comments on this? Okay. It's clear?
Seems easy just chanting the Gayatri mantra, but it's tough. It's a long way.
Yeah. But what's been brought out here is that we need adhikar, or we need qualification. Our intelligence and ourselves need to be purified before we can really possibly understand the 10th canto, and specifically or the actual very, very human-like, to some degree, pastimes of the Supreme Lord. It's so easy to mistake his pastimes to be what's going on in the material world. Yeah. But actually it is the complete opposite. It is completely, I would say, here in the material world, everything is based on selfish desire. But in the spiritual world, everything is based on selfless, pure, loving sentiment. You know? So, so here, Srila Prabhupada brings up the Gayatri mantra as a means, because Gayatri, and then he brings up the fact that for chanting Gayatri successfully, one must acquire Brahminical qualities, or be perfectly situated in the quality of goodness. So this is the adhikar, or the qualifications that is actually needed for understanding these topics about Krishna. Yeah. Many persons misunderstand. So here, I think Prabhupada's gone on from speaking about the atheist. So now in this paragraph, he seems to be addressing those who have some theistic knowledge. Yeah. So therefore, they're accepting the principle of Krishna. But because it may be, and because some people, Prabhupada's mentioned that some people with a licentious or mentality, then and that's the reason they read 10th canto, especially the chapters dealing with the rasa dance. But that's why Srila Vyasadeva is going to go through 1st canto, 2nd canto, 3rd canto, 4th canto, all the way up, and then the 10th canto. And then it's mentioned that when Sukadeva Goswami was speaking 10th canto, especially about Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, then he could see the waves of doubt on the faces of those who were listening. Yeah. You can tell that the face is the index of the mind. Yeah, sometimes when we're giving class and we're looking out devotees, we can see, you can get an idea whether they're interested or not interested, or they don't understand something, or they don't agree with something. You can often see on their face, to some degree. So Sukadeva Goswami could see this, that although they had heard 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and they heard all the cantos, still when he spent 10th canto and got to gopis, there was waves of doubt. And Maharaj Parikshit could see it. He could feel it in the atmosphere. So he asked questions on behalf of everyone to clarify this. Yeah. And so then Sukadeva Goswami, and that's why the 11th canto is full of intense philosophy to again ground this in the correct understanding. So it can be easily misunderstood. So even devotees, unless they're very careful, if they start reading these subjects, and sometimes they can get bewildered along the path, and they can get bewildered along the path. So anyway, I think we get the idea. Okay. Any questions upon that? And Prabhupada gives a wonderful, in the introduction to 10th canto, Krishna book, he explains it very thoroughly. He follows on from Sukadeva Goswami, so that we clearly give us a clear understanding that we're not speaking about an ordinary person who has a material body. When he's interacting with the gopis, it's out of pure, selfless, pure, unadulterated devotion. Yeah. So anyway, Hare Krishna. Any final comments or questions?
I was just thinking that Prabhupada gave us Krishna book, which is the 10th canto in a nutshell, and people can get that without having to read 9 cantos of Bhagavatam. So is that that's just pure mercy of the Acharya?
Yeah, it's and in one sense it's pure mercy, but also it's practical mercy as well. Because considering the subject of the 10th canto, Prabhupada wanted to be sure that he gave the correct understanding, just in case he didn't remain in this world. So therefore, he gave us summary study of the 10th canto, just in case Krishna might have had plans for Prabhupada to depart. And he did depart. before he finished the 10th canto. I think he got to Brahma Vimohan Leela. So that's one reason. So that's one aspect of it. But the way Prabhupada presents it, he presents it, Krishna's Leela, in such a way, and he explains it. He gives introduction to it, even in the Krishna book, of how one should understand. But what is written is very difficult to get the wrong idea. Prabhupada expertly presents it in such a way that even a materialist, by reading it, can be attracted, and can be attracted in the correct way if they read it properly. I don't know if, yeah, but again, you could say it's Prabhupada's mercy. But specifically the details there, he wrote that because he wanted to make sure that devotees had a purport to the 10th canto. Can you imagine if Prabhupada left at the 9th canto or the 8th canto? So much speculation could be there. Yeah. So, but it presents such an innocent way that it's kind of people in general have an opportunity to hear about Krishna. Yeah, it's much more, the way it's presented is very innocent. All right, compared to other books that you might find. Yeah.
Can we say that the Krishna book is like very basic, whereas in the Srimad Bhagavatam is given really in details?
I don't know. It's the essence of the essence. If it's Prabhupada presents it, in one sense, it's not the basics. It's the summum bonum of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the essence. But the way it's presented is brilliantly presented by Prabhupada to make it digestible, even for those who may not have the qualification. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's Prabhupada's genius,
Thank you.
All right. So next week let's have a look. Couple of paragraphs. Yeah, let's try. Okay. Next Monday we'll try and go through a bit quicker. Otherwise we'll spend weeks on this first. And it doesn't mind, we can do that, but I'll try and go through a bit quicker. Yeah. Perhaps we can read a couple of paragraphs and make comments like that. Okay. Right. Thank you, devotees. This is our first presentation on the prayers. So please bear with us today, and probably next week's going to be a bit philosophical. Some of you might, I don't know, so it might not be your favorite. You just want to hear the prayers, but please bear with us. And I'm sure we're going to be reading some wonderful prayers by devotees with wonderful purports by Srila Prabhupada. Okay. So thank you for joining us, everyone. Hare Krishna. And
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
let's meet Monday tomorrow if you have time.
Great
Join
morning,
us.
all.
Second part,
Evening,
Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanandi Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.
Krishna Krishna Hari 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 Ram Ram Ram.